ready?
Thank you, Elizabeth, and thank you, Judy, for doing this, and thank you, everybody, for coming. Our mission, Helping Parents Heal, is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting bereaved parents. Through support and resources offered, we aspire to help individuals become shining light parents, meaning a shift from a state of emotional heaviness to one of hopefulness and greater peace of mind. HPH goes a step beyond other groups by allowing the open discussion of spiritual experiences and afterlife evidence in a non-dogmatic way. HPH affiliate groups welcome everyone regardless of religious or non-religious background and encourage open dialogue. Attendance at this meeting is voluntary. We hope that participants will learn from and share with each other. Discussions here are confidential and not designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. Helping Parents Heal offers a wide variety of speakers, allowing parents to learn about many possible ways to heal. This includes presenters covering progressive topics such as afterlife evidence and connecting with children who have passed. The views expressed by our guest speakers may or may not reflect the opinions of Helping Parents Heal leaders and members. So we ask that you take from their presentations whatever may benefit you personally.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to do a very short introduction bio for Judi so that you guys know a little bit about her. She spoke at our first conference. I think that most of you here know that she is Irene Vuvalides' sister. So she is a shining light aunt. She's not just a practitioner. She's not a provider, just a provider for Helping Parents Heal. She knows where we are. She knows exactly what we're going through. And she was one of the biggest influences on Irene to be able to help her heal in the early stages of her journey. And I'm going to just say a little bit about her. Judith A. Hancox, MSW, LCSW, BCETS, has been specializing in holistic trauma recovery for over 3 decades. She created Shiome Therapy, TM, utilizing EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, energy psychology, and energy medicine techniques that help accelerate our innate ability to process and heal from traumatic stress and PTSD. After the transition of her godchild, Carly, in 2013, she has been focusing her practice on helping parents heal, and we are so grateful that she has been. And so without further ado, please join me in welcoming Judith Hancox. Hi, Judi.
Hello, thank you so much. And it's always an honor to be here. It's always an honor to be with everybody. It's kind of where I feel I belong right now, you know? And if you, Elizabeth, have any questions, I am here mainly because I wanted to share with everybody and people who have not attended any of the healing sessions. I started it on Mother's Day 2020, and it just progressed. And actually, I must go back 2019 Mother's Day. That's when I learned that I could do a group healing with Xiome, with that is energy medicine, by having a group together, everybody focusing on one issue that was a common denominator for all of us. And by focusing on that one in the group, we all connected, our energy, our auric fields, our energetic field connected. And I was able to muscle test someone in person to find out in energy psychology, you know, where is the trauma stored in the body, mind, spirit, and find a yes or a no. So you're not guessing, your body doesn't lie. Your body tells you there's a strong muscle reaction when it's a yes and when it's the truth. And there's an instant weakening of the body when it's a no or a lie. So by doing that assessment, which I was taught in energy psychology, you know, we did the group session and found it very healing for everyone, except I had everybody standing. And then I realized, some people said I was too long to stand. Now, I had done that formerly in an International Women's Writing Guild situation where for 10 years I taught yoga and meditation and did some healing work with them. And that's when I started group work, realizing this could work. So we were all young and healthy and could stand. Now we're, there's physical disabilities and there's aging and all that. So yes, we can sit, we can lie in bed and do it, but you do need to be focused and have the attention of everybody. So that's how I learned that group healing works. And in 2020, during the pandemic, I learned a technique in a course I was taking called Flash. And it's part of an EMDR, the eye movement desensitization and reprocessing method. Flash is a method that helps people heal their disturbing memories by focusing on a positive memory. And you use bilateral brain stimulation and blinking of the eyes. And it's not that long a process, but it's a process you have to learn and practice. And it was like the light bulb went on. Oh my Lord, that we could be together and focus on something happy, actually, not the heaviest of the trauma, and be able to reduce or desensitize the upsetting feelings. So that's what we did. And I started doing it in the group. And when we get to a certain point of a lower desensitized feeling, a feeling that's not so traumatically charged anymore, and you could handle it, then I shifted into my Xiaomi method of energy healing, where you actually target the pressure points on the body to access the organs, the body, mind, and spirit. You accessing parts of the body, mind, spirit where trauma is stuck, and you're able to release it with pressure points and different eye movements. And so I've been doing that technique for a long time, decades now. And along with that is what I call the Shiome Shift, because when we desensitize our upsetting feelings to a point of 1 or 2, or 1 really, on a 0 to 10 scale. So that Likert scale means 10 is the worst feeling you could possibly have, the worst memory, the most horrible feelings, the worst of the worst, which we all have. And 0 is peace, just feeling safe and secure in a peaceful, calm state. On that 0 to 10, I've been asking everybody to bring a 5 or a 6 to these Shiome healing sessions, because I know when it's a 1, I can get you to a 1 in 2 hours, definitely no problem. From a 10 to a 1, or from a 5 to a 1, that's what I was doing. And when it's a 1, it could be shifted. The energy can be completely shifted and turned into a positive vision. It's a vision quest, really. And I learned it through different shamans I studied with, especially this American Indian shaman, medicine woman, Grandma Michi. And she taught me the medicine wheel and how to shift energy in the medicine wheel. And it's an interesting, if nothing else, it's a very interesting process, and it works. So I call it science meeting spirit, science and spirituality coming together. So in these Shiome healing sessions, I've been doing a 3-part series where we come and I take you through a guided meditation. I invite you, with your permission, of course, to go into a guided meditation and find a secure, safe space, a calm place, a sacred space to feel comfortable, where we could begin the healing process. And I use pressure points. There's an energy centering meditation I developed in Shiome Therapy that comes from something in energy psychology called a brief energy correction, where there are 5, 6 pressure points on the body that, when stimulated, will help all the energy systems, the millions and billions of systems we have in every cell of our body. Everything is accessed and moves into a beautiful positive flow. Because when we have trauma, people don't really know this, besides the mental part of it and the emotional part of it. The energetic part of it is that our energy gets stuck and sometimes starts moving backwards in reverse. And often that's the case with most people who have post-traumatic stress disorder and heavy, complicated bereavement disorders. they call it a disorder, but really it's just, a complex issue, complicated trauma. And so with shifting it and moving it and changing a negative to a positive, an upsetting memory, an upsetting picture that you have stuck in your head, and shifting it to a positive vision and a blessing, a vision that comes from the source, from a higher power. We get this vision and then we install it. It's called install, with pressure points and eye movements that help shift it in our body, mind, spirit, where we leave the session at least at peace. And my thing with everybody who's been there before is we might not be happy or ever be happy about this, but we can be peaceful. And it's important to stay peaceful, to have our energy systems moving in a positive direction. In peace, we're moving in a positive direction, even though it doesn't feel like we're moving. We are. Our energy systems are flowing in a positive clockwise rotation when we're at peace. When we're in an emotional, disturbed state of mind, our energy can get stuck. Every system and different systems in our body, mind, spirit, can get stuck and then start moving in reverse. And that's why it's hard to concentrate. It's not just emotional. It's all, you can't separate the body, the mind, or the spirit. So Shiome kind of puts it all together in body, mind, spirit approach to healing, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. And actually, there are a few questions that I know that people have asked about Shiome healing, and maybe you could help by answering some of these questions. Could you, I know that you have kind of touched on it, but could you tell exactly what you do and how it works in a session?
Exactly. There's 3 parts of the session. And so I may be repeating a little, but the first part is to get our energy in a positive state, in a positive flow, and go into a meditation, a body, mind, spirit meditation. So I'll guide you to the pressure points of the energy centering meditation. And when we're feeling that we're in this sacred space together, I ask someone, as we move into the second part, well, actually, the second part is the flash technique. So I don't need a surrogate tester till we start doing the energy system movements. But in the second part of the session, I ask everyone to bring 2 things, the positive memory, a positive feeling, a positive thought. And I know, most of us say, oh, there's nothing positive about this. But we can go back in our mind. Everyone in life has something that makes you smile, whether it's puppies licking you all over, or, these little memes we have on the computer, or whatever memories of childhood, some memories of childhood, something that makes you laugh, a comedian, it could be a piece of music. Just bring something that makes you light up and smile, because that's what we need for flash. And in flash, I'll guide you to think of that while we're doing some bilateral tapping on our shoulders, or maybe tapping here on the pressure points, and thinking of the positive, happy feelings. We want you smiling, and then I'll guide you to blink your eyes. We do a few sets of tapping and blinking, few sets of tapping and blinking, and magic, voila, it's like those high levels come down to lower levels for everyone. And especially when we're in a group, we all are connected, we're working together, and everybody's helping everybody in this process. So once those disturbing levels come down to a 1, or even it could be a 5 or 4, then the third part is we take a little break, maybe 10 minutes, because it's a 2-hour session. And the third part is I ask someone to help me as a surrogate tester. And because I cannot muscle test physically, I have learned how to dowse, and I'll just use a pendulum. And with permission, everybody's permission, the surrogate, I will test the surrogate for the group and learn where is the upsetting feeling stuck in everybody's body. And the pendulum will always tell me where to go. It's a yes. If it's a no, we don't go there. We don't waste time. If it's a yes, we go there. And so say it's in the stomach meridian. Say, the stomach is holding trauma. Well, there's a pressure point under the eyes. I'll guide you to hold under the eyes and breathe. And then I'll guide you to a series of eye movements and then holding that pressure point again. And that will desensitize the stomach and release the stomach of that disturbing energy that's stuck there. And it goes on like that until we're all a 1 or a 0. And everyone who reduces their disturbance level to a 1 or 0 helps the group reduce it and desensitize it. And then we'll do that shift. So I guess the fourth part is bringing it into, we put it in a container, right? All our upsetting memories. I told you I asked to bring 2 things. One is a happy thought that makes you smile, and one is something that's distressing and upsetting. And the upsetting memory, we put in a container. We shut the lid, we don't think about it, and we put it in what I call a magic circle over the ocean, because the ocean is very important when we shift it, doing that Xiaomi Shift. And so the circle's magic because we can have 300, 400 people online, and that circle will just expand and expand and expand over the ocean to hold all these traumatic memories. And that's our container for us. And as it gets bigger, I ask that it goes away from us, towards the horizon. It's not going in our face. It's getting bigger, but going away. So it could be huge. And in the end, the magic is not only is it can expand and contract at our will, but it's magnetic. It's like gravity. It just pulls it out of us. So when we're releasing from the stomach or the liver or the thyroid or wherever the energy is stuck, as it goes into the container, you'll feel a little lift because we're asking our angels and our kids, we're inviting, of course, we don't start this without asking and having an intention that the highest good come from this and that we're surrounded by an angelic realm. And so all our helpers are helping us at the same time. So the energy comes out of us, the disturbance goes into the container. And when it's a 1 or so in our body, mind, spirit, we don't feel it so much anymore, then we can shift that circle. And I will guide you to, with your permission, to take it through the ocean and into the earth and into the sky, all the elements. It gets blessed by all the elements. Take it through the 4 corners and give it to what I call God or the source or the highest power, the highest love. We ask our angels to help us lift it up into that highest realm possible. And we ask Great Spirit to bless it and to give each and every one of us a vision that will help us feel peaceful when we think of that memory. And if anyone's been there, they can share if they want what's happened. I have heard people afterwards telling me it's been months, 6 months, 8 months later, and they still don't have the upsetting memory that they had before. It has shifted. So there's a little home healing involved too, because when we get our positive vision from our vision quest and we lock it in with eye movements and brain balancing again, that science piece, it stays with us. It stays with us. And then I usually douse to say, how often do we have to meditate on this positive vision? Because it's not just boom, it's done. You need to put a little work in, a little time, a little consistency to make it real, to really have it filter into the body, mind, spirit, and get into your cells of your body to feel that peace. So sometimes the dowsing will say, hey, meditate on this twice a day for a month. And usually that's what's been coming up most of the time, between 1 and 4 times a day for 4 weeks, just in time to come back for the next session. So in the past, up until this time, from 2019, 2020 till now, I've asked everyone to bring a 5 or 6 of a disturbance level because I knew I could handle that. And the 10s, the most horrible thing, I'm not able to see everyone. If there's 40, 50, 100 people, how can I see everyone? So I started thinking about it because a lot of people said they want to bring their 10s. Why would they come? They want to get rid of that worst, horrible, traumatic moment. So I've been thinking, how can we do this? So I came up with 3 things. We need to keep our camera on so we can keep everyone safe and that we can get visual cues. I need people to help. And I took a course this past winter and I was watching how someone else does disaster work online, and he has a support team. He has one person for every 10 people who were traumatized. So I reached out to Elizabeth and my sister Irene, said, you think we can do this? You think I could get some volunteers? And what do you think? Lo and behold, our caring listeners and affiliate leaders, I have several of them now who said they would help. So I figured, well, if it works for him, it could work for us. We'll have one affiliate for every 10, if we can handle that. And then before the session, this way you can bring a 10. On a 0 to 10, you could bring your 10. And then each support, I call them a support team, it's our emotional support team, not professional people, not licensed or professional, just members of Helping Parents Heal who want to volunteer and support. So of course they did. And we have at least 4 or 5 now. So what I need to do is have everyone have their camera on. To register for the next session next Monday, it's my Valentine gift to you. You could bring your 10 and we'll have caring listeners, but I think we're going to close registration this Friday or Saturday because I need to do a lot of work now. It's extra work because it's going to be writing to me and me getting back to you. So you're going to write to me, and I might post it on Facebook too, so it's easier. Just 3 agreements. I agree to keep my camera on. I agree to give you my phone number in case there's a problem, my phone number and email. I'll have your email. And I agree that I acknowledge that there's a caring listener or affiliate leader, a support person that will help me. And then everyone will have someone assigned to them. And hopefully before the meeting, you can be in touch with your support person and you'll be able to know them. And if you're in distress or if you leave the session for some reason, we'll know it. We'll be able to reach out to you or you reach out to us. And those helpers are going to help first. They'll be like the first line of defense and help you and find out what's going on. Maybe somebody just left. They just didn't like it. That's fine. But if somebody left in distress, I need to know about that because I'm responsible. Even if it's volunteering, I'm still responsible. And I do hold a license and I cherish that. And because I take a lot of time studying and learning and keep growing over these 3-4 decades I've been doing this, and I never stop learning. And that's what's so great about this kind of work. It just keeps evolving and learning more things like Flash that we can do this. So if someone leaves, I promise if you need help, I'll give you individual attention gratis. Because I know within 20 minutes or so, I'll be able to help you feel peaceful again. And that's how fast energy works and how fast spirit is. It's just instantaneous. So sometimes things are just, stuck at the surface level and they need to pop. And if that happens, I will help you do that. If it's a longer, this is, something, if you need more long-term, it does not take the place. I can't say that enough. It doesn't take the place of individual work and trauma work and good therapy. You need that. And there's times in your life you need it. And I've needed it. And we all need it, especially in this situation. So it doesn't take the place of your individual therapy, but it's a group healing. And because we're all in the same support group and have the same traumatic event in our life, we can help each other even more quickly, lifting this energy, because trauma is not something you want to hold on to. The whole purpose of it is trauma keeps you stuck in the past. Trauma keeps your body, mind, spirit in a negative space and an upsetting feeling. And you don't need to carry that your whole life. When the trauma lifts, you can have a life again. You could be yourself again. This is what our children want for us. This is what our life purpose is, to help each other, to be loving and to be fulfilled and to feel at peace. And that's what's important to have in your life, just peace of mind, so your bodies will stay healthy. You won't get a disease or get some kind of illness, because long-term depression and anxiety and traumatic events that are stuck in the body, mind, spirit, they wear after time, and nothing good happens from it. So lifting the trauma doesn't mean it's going to change the truth. The truth will be the same, but you'll look at it from a different perspective, and you'll be able actually to communicate with your children much more easily when there's not that veil and that heavy curtain, that iron curtain of trauma between you. So once you get rid of that heavy stuff, the ethers are lighter and it's easier to communicate with spirit.
Thank you. I was going to just introduce, in case people aren't aware of your 3 helpers, introduce them to everyone who's here so that they know who they are. Obviously, Lynn read the mission statement, and she's also the head of the Caring Listeners, and she does so much for helping parents heal. She also has an affiliate book club and things like that. But anyway, she is going to be available. We have Rhonda Andrus going down just a little bit here on my screen, who is also our Austin affiliate leader, and she's going to be helping out as well. And then Michelle Johnston, who is moving back to Australia, but right now she's our Helping Parents Heal Philadelphia affiliate leader, and we are so grateful to her. So it's wonderful. Michelle also helps William Peters on his Shared Crossing project, and she had a chapter in his book as well. So I just wanted to make sure that people knew who to reach out to. I also wanted to ask you another question, and that is, how do you know if you have PTSD? Could you maybe kind of let people know a little bit about that? Obviously, the trauma that they're bringing might not be as intense as a situation with PTSD, but could you maybe identify what that might be?
Right. Everyone grieves differently, and the time of grieving is different for everyone, but there's something about PTSD that's very different than grieving and bereavement in its natural sense. There's an acute phase after every trauma, any trauma. That's an overwhelming life experience that is just beyond words. There's no words. So it's all right hemisphere, emotional flooding and hormones and cortisol and adrenals. And in that moment of shock of the event of the trauma, I call it shock and lock. It gets locked into the nervous system. And it takes 30 days in what's called the acute phase for everyone. Everyone has an acute phase of a traumatic event. And in those 30 days, the brain does something to try to process it. The left brain is trying to make sense of it with words, because there's no words when it happens. It's all right hemisphere, which is all emotions and feelings, body sensations, and the image that gets stuck. And the left hemisphere, and especially the frontal lobe of the left hemisphere in the processing situation, is the language and the words and making sense of it. So we're trying to do that in the first 30 days, and it's hard to make sense of trauma, any trauma, especially this one. So after the 30 days, if we have symptoms, there's 17 symptoms actually of PTSD. And there's the re-experiencing of whether it's flashbacks, nightmares, sleep disturbances, emotional sensations. We have the anguish, the depression, the anxiety, the anger, irritability. What else? Low self-esteem, uncontrolled thoughts. All that, you can look up all the symptoms of PTSD online. They're all there. Then there's this avoidance of not wanting to be around people or situations where you were before, and not feeling isolated and avoiding and just staying secluded. And there's arousal, there's the startle response and jumping, just out of the blue, having. So all those symptoms and all those pieces, if after 30 days, after the acute phase, they continue. And we found, my sister and I discussed this with Helping Parents Heal, and after Carly passed, she didn't realize she had PTSD. It took over a year. And a lot of, I realized just working with trauma that the acute phase was lasting a year with my sister, and she needed help. And although I helped her emotionally and as her sister and maybe doing some, helping her with some energy work, we're too close and I was too traumatized myself. So we supported each other. It was more support. But it was my sister who found out a technique called repair and reattachment grief therapy. And she flew me out to Washington, Seattle, Washington. We both went together. And she had a session with the founder of that technique, Rochelle Wright. And I got the training in it and learned how to do the technique. And that's a full day of EMDR, which is a bilateral brain stimulation with eye movements or tapping or music, auditory, visual, or sensational, of bilateral, on both sides of the brain. And in a process of helping people desensitize the upsetting memory and the upsetting emotion. So Irene had that work done along with seeing mediums and doing her work, and she healed herself from the PTSD. She was able to sleep for the first time after she saw Rochelle, I believe, and after she saw George Anderson, she was able to sleep for the very first time after a year. It was just, as you know, it's just so traumatic. So that's a method that, the two methods, and I put them in the chat for EMDRIA, EMDRIA, the International Association.org. If you go to emdria.org, up will come find a therapist in your area. And you want somebody who has experience, who works in grief and bereavement, and who you get a good feeling from. Never go to the first person you see, just get a sense, is this for you? Interview as many therapists as you want to interview and get a sense that this person knows what they're doing and they're on your wavelength, they resonate with your type. Not everyone resonates with me because my approach is more spiritual, and some therapists call me woo-woo. I mean, I'll take it, but I am trained clinically, but spiritually is more important, not more, as important, just as important. The body, what we eat, that we drink water, that we take our vitamins, that we take care of ourselves physically, we get exercise, we get those endorphins going, we go for walks, all that physical is so important. You can't separate that. You can't, if you need to stay in bed for a year, stay in bed for a year. That's what, anything you need to take care of yourself and comfort yourself is what you need to do at first in that acute phase. But there comes a time you need to get out of bed. You just, your body wants to do it. It wants to move, or it's going to get, ill. It's going to atrophy. So we have to move sometime. So why not move in peace, walk in the woods and take care of yourself, be with people, like in Helping Parents Heal, go with people who support you and understand how you feel. That's what's most important. We feel isolated. Irene didn't know Helping Parents Heal existed for over a year, and she didn't know the techniques that were out there. I encouraged her to see a therapist, which she did. But it was a talking therapy and it helped her tremendously, but wasn't EMDR. It wasn't. So with repair and reattachment therapy, it is one full day of EMDR where you're honoring your child, whoever your loved one is that you want to go to the therapy with. But repair and reattachment is to repair the relationship in any way that it needs to be repaired, where you feel off about it. It works by using EMDR and bilateral brain stimulation. It uses two types: auditory, you're talking. It's a full day of honoring your loved one and sharing every memory from the moment you met to the moment they transitioned. So it's a full day of talking about your loved one and then doing a processing and desensitizing all the traumatic memories around the death of your loved one, around the experience of illness, whatever it is that is disturbing about the relationship. It repairs it and helps heal. And in the end, because we're building the energy all day long, just talking about your child and honoring them and sharing all the memories. And the therapist is a scribe. We're just writing all the memories down and then targeting the disturbing ones to process them out And at the end of a session, which could take from 3 to 5 to 6 hours in one day, in my sessions, everyone has had a connection so far. The connection rate is 98 to 99%. That after your traumatic healing, the healing of the trauma, you're able to lift that iron curtain, like I'm saying, that, so to speak, and be able to lift the veil between you and your child's there. They're just waiting to connect. And it's a beautiful thing, because whether it's a visual connection or an auditory and listening to them, or a feeling, everyone gets messages. Everyone gets messages. And there's usually a surprise, something surprising and unexpected that you'd never think about yourself. And that's evidence that it's them, it's not you. You're not just making this up. It's not your imagination. They're really there because they've been waiting to connect with you.
So I was going to ask you if it might be possible to ask the people who are here, the parents who are here, if anyone has participated already in the Shiome healing, and maybe would like to just say a few words about what they experienced so that people can understand a little bit better. If you do want to, let's see.
Is Kit around? Is Kit here today?
Let's see if Kit is here. I'm not sure. Let me see. I can check to see if Kit is here. And Judy's talking about that adorable Rasmi that she had in her arms. Oh my goodness gracious. I don't see a Kit in here.
Okay.
I think that mostly the people who are on tonight are new, because these are people who haven't already experienced and they're not really sure about what you do. So I was just going to see if anybody wanted to put
That would be great if there is anyone who has experienced it
too. But I also wanted to just ask you when it is that you feel that it is necessary to seek other professional therapy, so that that people who are here in the meeting would be able to understand if they feel that that's something that might be necessary. Could you talk a little bit about that as
Sure.
well?
Well, these symptoms that I was talking about, if they keep recurring and they're not moving, if you're still not sleeping after a few, a couple months, it's supposed to be 30 days, but let's give ourselves a break too. But you don't have to feel this trauma at all. In fact, within 30 days, you could go for therapy, and it could be, the acute stress could be dealt with. But if you have the recurring symptoms and you're not sleeping and you're feeling anxious and you're irritable and you're just not yourself, who you used to be, you deserve to be yourself. You deserve to have peace in your life. So if you're not feeling peaceful and these recurring symptoms are happening again and again every day, it's time to look for help. It's time to look for a professional who treats post-traumatic stress, because that's what it is. Complex bereavement disorder is PTSD. It's basically the same symptoms. Does anyone have symptoms here that they're not sure
Wait,
if it
before
is
we
or not?
wait just 1 second. I do have Rhonda who would like to talk about her experience with
Oh,
you.
thank you, Rhonda.
Okay. So Rhonda, let me go ahead and unmute you, because I should have made you a co-host actually.
Did I say flashbacks?
Let's see, you did. I don't know if you did, but okay, Rhonda is on. Let's go ahead and let her.
Hi there. Let me also. Yeah, I did. I think I did Judy's sessions, like 3 or 4 of them, and it's been quite a while, because I believe when I did them, we were doing a 10. I think I'm sure I did a 10, because I remember I did my worst possible memory in the world. It's really healing. I mean, it is. It's not something that any of us really want to do. And I think it's a great thing to do beyond going to see mediums. We can all do that. We get our, and read about the afterlife and everything, but we really do need something additional. And what's so nice about this is you've got a whole group. So you're going through the tough memories and stuff, but you've got that calm, everyone in the group kind of feeling it with you. And I don't know how, but it works. Because you do come out of that just much lighter. And I had forgotten, Judi had mentioned, like you have that memory, you walk away with that memory, and it's just a feeling of peace, and it just works. So I would encourage anyone to do it. And again, I'm going to say, I know it's not, fun to do. But she does it good, and she does a little woo-woo stuff because you still have the pendulum spinning, and so you still get some of the neat spiritual stuff that we all need. So highly recommend it. So if anyone wants to reach out to me and ask any questions or anything, but highly recommend it.
Rhonda, just for a minute, stay with me. I think you were one of the first session, and I wasn't, and that's why at that first session, I just said, bring a memory that was disturbing, and you brought a 10. And that's probably why I stopped doing 10s because
I think we were all,
it was very heavy.
And I think it's great to go back to, because we all want to get rid of that.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, unless it's a 1, until it desensitizes to a 1, this is the science behind energy psychology anyway. When it's a 1 or a 0, it can be shifted and the shift will stay. We can lock it in. But if you shift and it's a 5, or shift and it's a 2, or a 1.5, it will not stay. You'll get a sense of peace, but it might, leave you not as, it won't stay and integrate into your being as well as when it's desensitized to a 1. So that's why I started with, well, let's just bring a 5 or a 6. We all have memories that are disturbing, but let's not go for the gusto, in this venue. So we are changing it now, and being prepared in a better way. So what happened to you doesn't happen to anyone else afterwards. But we did talk afterwards too, didn't we? I believe.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. And it's probably been at least 1.5 years, maybe 2 years since I've done it. And, you go back and you think of those memories, and of course you're never going to forget that horrible, some of those horrible, but I just don't have that sick.
Right. You may get the picture like it's on TV.
Yes.
And the picture may change a little bit, but you don't get the feeling, the charge, and the body sensation that goes with the picture anymore. That's
maybe you too can help us. We have someone asking if you could give an example of what a 10 would be versus a 5, if that's a possibility to kind of know what they're supposed to be bringing.
Right. Well, the 10 would be that shock, that first moment of shock. That's a 10 for everyone. I don't think I'm speaking out of line. I know it was for me, for Irene. Just the look, for me, the look on my sister's face, because I was with her that day, and I couldn't get that out of my head. And, so the shock of the loss of your child, that's, and any memory that goes with that time in the shock phase, and within that period of time. A 5 might be, an argument you had that you can't get out of your head, or some upsetting moment, or guilt, something guilty. You, Rhonda, what was your 5? What would your 5?
I didn't ever do the 5.
Oh, you didn't do the 5.
We were right at we were at the 10 when I still did it, and I think I did it like 3 times, and I had some tough memories. One of them was my son passed by suicide, and one of them was a conversation that I had with him the previous night. The second one I think I had, was my husband. My husband found him, and I knew that my husband had found, my husband walking through the door after he had, just horrible. It's a 10. So, and I guess I just want to, those are the ones that you want to bring, as hard as it is, and you won't be alone.
And you don't have to bring a 10. Please don't think
you don't have to.
It's just that we're going to allow it now because we have help. We have helpers that are going to help us. Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful. I have people saying, sign me up. And I think that the most important thing about signing up is that everyone know that there's not going to be a Zoom link that's going to be available that day, the way that we normally have all of our meetings that have a Zoom meeting. This specific meeting and going forward every single time will require reaching out to Judi and getting the Zoom link, and then joining the meeting that way. And of course, everything is free of charge. All of our helpers who are helping, as well as Judi, who gives so much time to us. It's all free of charge, but they do need to know how many people to expect. And the most important thing too is to know that she's going to cut off registration like Friday evening. Is that right?
Friday, Saturday, if there's, but we need time to assign the people to each support person. And please know, the agreement is you will keep your camera on, that you acknowledge there's a support person for you. So you're going to give your phone number so we can reach out to you if there's a need. So that's really it, right, Lynn? The camera on, the phone number, and the agreement and acknowledgement that there'll be helpers there assigned to you, and you can talk to them before the meeting even.
And just make sure that you see this. This is a new email address so that she doesn't get it mixed in with other things. It's judith.hph, or helpingparentsheal@gmail.com. So it's easy to remember, and please reach out to her. And I'll tell you, I've done this with her myself. I brought something that was a little less stressful because I've come so far on my healing journey, but it really did help me. And I think that the fact that Judi is wanting to do this and wanting to help us is I'm so grateful for it. So anyway, and people are asking the time. So it's February 14th. It's going to be every month though after that. So it'll be every
second Monday of every month.
Yeah,
from
second Monday of
2
every
to
month.
4 Eastern time.
For Eastern Standard Time. So it's going to be a full 2 hours. Let's see.
If people could do me a big favor when you first email me, because I'll post this on Facebook, please give me your phone number and just those acknowledgements, and I can give you the link right away. Otherwise, I have to go back, send you those requirements, and then, you send it to me, and then I'll send you the link. So if we could cut out that one process, it would be much easier for both of us.
Lisa's asking if it'll be the same link or different links every month. We were going to do the same one. I don't know, Judi, what you think of that. I mean, I guess we'll have to see after the first time. Normally, if we...
Right, let's see how it goes in February for Valentine's Day. And, if it gets too wildly crazy, we'll go back to the old way. But I'd like to continue this because I'd like to offer, your highest level of disturbance to help you clear it if you want to bring it, for sure.
I have some people asking what time. I have a few private messages. So again, it's 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, and I just want people to understand that this meeting itself is just to be able to tell people how this is going to happen. Again, one big thing that Judi is asking is that everyone leave their video on so that she can observe and make sure that everybody's okay, because that's a big part of the healing, is being able to connect visually with the person that they are with. She's healing with Lynn, being able to see, Rhonda being able to see, Michelle being able to see. So that'll be a big part also of these new sessions. Let's see, will there ever be an after hours offering? I'm not sure. Is this just too early in the day for you, Gianna? Maybe. This will be, I would assume that it's not recorded, right? So there's no way that people can see this either.
No,
so
because it's private and confidential, we don't want to record it unless at some point we want to record it for the benefit of sharing it with the public.
Well, just the people. Okay.
Well, well, for research purposes. That would be the only reason I would record it. AIM sessions for research purposes.
But for now, it's not being recorded. So probably it's not going to be possible to have an after hours right now. Right now,
But I
everything.
will think about it, maybe
Okay,
one
you're
month I'll do in the afternoon and one month I can do in an evening. I don't know. You can help me with that.
Okay. Well, then
Possibility.
possibly Gianna. And then let's see. Yeah. Anna is saying too early in the day for her. So yeah, that might be an issue. And if it is, then possibly Judi will rethink the times.
Although honestly, also, if there, like someone said, it's 4 a.m. somewhere in the world it was. And, my response was, I know that's really early, but when I lived in an ashram, I got up at 4 a.m. every day. And if you're motivated enough, it's a wonderful time to heal because, the vibrations around are very calm. So, it depends on your priority as far as what your needs are.
Well, and I just want to say thank you to you and thank you to Lynn and Rhonda and Michelle. Michelle, did you have anything to say? Because you are on here. Could you just say hi, maybe? I'm going to ask you to unmute and then make you a co-host so that people know who you are in case they haven't been to your meetings in Philadelphia.
Oh, hi, everybody. I don't have anything exciting to say, but I've been following Judith for a while and I'm looking forward to the sessions. And I did notice that there's a few people that said hi from Pennsylvania when we checked in, and I didn't recognize your names. So if you're keen to come to our Philly group, we would love to have you.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. And I love your accent. I was just listening to an audiobook today of Leanne Moriarty's work, the newest one, The Apple Doesn't Fall Too Far from the Tree, I guess. And I just love an Australian accent. And you don't have a very thick one at all, but it's beautiful. And my goodness. Anyway, thank you for helping Michelle. Lynn, did you want to say anything? Maybe I know you read the mission statement. You didn't get to say anything.
No, I can't thank Judi enough for doing this, for helping, for all you do, Judi. So thank you very much. And I think Rhonda and Michelle and I are honored to be a part of this. And
yeah, I'm thanking
looking
everyone.
forward to getting to know you guys on a more one-on-one basis.
And please remember that Lynn is the head of the Caring Listeners and that we have 33 caring listeners who speak 9 different languages, I believe. So if you need someone to speak to, especially after a session like this, obviously it's better to speak to one of the 3 who are your assistants or to Judi, but we're always available. All of the caring listeners are always available to speak to as well. And anyway, I think that everything's been covered. Judi, anything else that you'd like to leave us with before we say goodnight?
Well, something that was and is always on my mind, from being a yoga teacher and going into my spiritual studies a long time ago. I mean, that prepared me, if anything, prepared me for this shocking, transition of Carly. It was the ability to just know, not be wondering where is she, but just to know. I knew she was okay, and I knew she wasn't suffering anymore, and I knew that we would be talking and communicating, and sure enough, within a week, that's when I got that message on my phone, because I was crying and saying, "Oh, Carly, I don't know how to help your mom."
What is the message? Some people might not have heard that message if they didn't get to hear Still Right Here. So tell about that message.
Well, I had been with Irene for a week, and I had to go home, to get a change of clothes and refresh a little bit and see my animals, and then I was going to go back. So when I got home, I was just collapsed and I'm crying on the couch, and I started talking to Carly and saying, I don't know what to do. I'm just worried about your mom. Please help me help her. What are we going to do? And I fell asleep. It was about midnight. And all of a sudden I woke up, I heard my phone going off. And you know, when I first woke up, I was startled and who's calling me at, 1 a.m. or whatever it was. And I pick up my phone and I had texted her. I didn't just say it. I texted her her phone number and I was asking her these things out loud and on the text. And on my phone in the search bar, it had changed to a search bar for Google, and it said, and I quote, "Heaven looks a lot like the mall." And I went, Carly, because if you knew Carly, she was a shop till you drop. She'd drag me out, after Easter dinner or Thanksgiving dinner, like, come on, Aunt Judy, let's go shopping. Last thing I wanted to do. And I'd go shopping with her. And one of the last times was getting sewing materials because she stayed up all night sewing. And so heaven looks a lot like the mall, was said to me. So, and I was, ignorant at the time. I didn't know how to take a screenshot, which I, wish I would have done. But I went back and told Irene and the kids and me. And of course, I got looked at like I had 3 heads. But Irene took it in and she was still in shock and didn't know what to do with it. But here's something nobody knows, and it wasn't in the book. Irene, the appropriate one, she Googled that heaven looks a lot like the mall. She found out it was a book written by a woman about a near-death experience of her child. And in this book, the child was playing basketball, I think, and got hit on the head and knocked out and was in the hospital unconscious. So Irene got the book and she read the book. And because Carly had, there was something Irene was in her mind that there must be a reason, that was written. Heaven looks a lot like the mall. So it's a book. It's about this situation. And at the end of the book, there was a message from Carly to Irene. And, that was private, and I never asked her what the private message was, but she got a message from the book from Carly. So it was like 2 things in one. The phenomenon that she texted me, that she wrote on my phone, and then it turns out that it was a message for her in a book written, and only Carly would know that. So in my spiritual journey of knowing the truth, oh, here comes Shanti, Miss Peaceful One. There's a saying. I studied the Bhagavad-Gita for years. Are you familiar, Elizabeth, about the Bhagavad-Gita? It's the scripture of yoga. It's a poem, actually. It's a song that was sung for centuries, supposedly from the beginning of time, from God to disciple, teacher to disciple. And it's such a beautiful poem. And it's known that every answer about the world and the worldly experience, and all the answers about life, all the questions that you could ask about life are answered in that book. So that was the beginning of my introduction to yoga and philosophy, was the Bhagavad-Gita. And I've faithfully been reading it since 1980 to date. It's an old book on my meditation table. And in that book, there's a phrase that's repeated at least 3 or 4 times in every section. It's 18 discourses, and they're in 6 chapters, 6 chapters, 6 chapters. Each one gets a little heavier. The first is more about physical and karma yoga. The second one's more about the mental, and the third is more about the spiritual. It gets higher and higher, and it explains the same thing in a different level. And this phrase that's repeated over and over is the hidden blessing in our life if we get it. This phrase is from Lord Krishna to Arjuna. It's supposed to be, Lord Krishna is an incarnation of God, a human form of God, an enlightened one. And in all of the world, he tells us that there's only a handful of enlightened ones, Jesus and Buddha and Thich Nhat Hanh and Gandhi. There's only a few people who walk this earth that really get that we are souls having a human experience. So in the Bhagavad-Gita, Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, when he says, how, why am I here? And how can I be closer to you? And, what's the meaning of life? And Krishna just says, fix your mind on me. Now, if we think of me as love, of whatever God you conceive God to be, the highest power, the highest love, and the highest wisdom, just think about the phrase in that term. When he says, fix your mind on me, be devoted to me, sacrifice unto me, dedicate your life to me, be devoted to me, bow down to me. And having thus united your whole self with me and taken me as the supreme goal, thou shalt come unto me. Thou shalt become enlightened. Thou shalt be. So what's the hidden blessing? Our children force us to fix our mind on them, on spirit, to be devoted to them, to always think of them. So if we're going to obsess on them in this type of way, thinking of them as pure love and spirit and with God, if we fix our mind and we're devoted and that's our supreme goal and that's our dedication in life, we have gotten that blessing from the Bhagavad Gita, and we are ensured that when we're together, we're going to see each other immediately. We're going to be enveloped in bliss. And we don't have to wait till we leave our body. We can do it right now today. That's the whole purpose of the Gita, is saying, while you're on this earth, remember who you are, that we are spirit having a human experience. And our children are forcing us, not in a way that we wanted to, but they are forcing us to fix our mind on love, on them, because we love them. They're our hearts, they're in us. So by just changing the context a little bit and fixing our mind with love and happy for them that they're so free spirit and they're in such joy right now, and they're trying to tell us how joyful they are, and come on, Ma, come on, Dad, talk to me, I'm here. So these methods of trauma recovery, where we lift the grief, we lift the trauma of the grief, right? We're not going to be happy they left before us, but and at some point we don't have to, but we have a choice. Can we accept it? Can we fix our mind on them and still have a different relationship? It's a different relationship. It's a spiritual relationship. And that's the hidden blessing, if we can look at it like that. And that's what I'd like to help you do.
Thank you. And I know that you will. And I truly appreciate all of you being here this evening. And thank you, Judi. Thank you,
My
Lynn.
pleasure.
Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you, Michelle. And I'm going to go ahead. I've unmuted everyone. If you want to, just to be able to say thank you and good evening to Judi. And we hope to see you back next week with Judi. So
Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank
This is
you.
a blessing that I
Thank you very much. Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.
Everybody.
Gracias.